Hello friends, and welcome to today's video. We're going to talk about the BOYZ's new album, which is Fantasy Part 2 Sixth Sense. So, signed copy of Bloom. I don't know if you can tell, it's signed, like, it is signed. The lighting just kind of doesn't show it when it's back here. It is actually signed, which is my caveat, okay? I feel like I always have to give this disclaimer, specifically when I talk about the BOYZ, because, spoilers, I'm never the biggest fan of their music, like 90% of the time, at least recent music. But I was at one point like a die-hard stan, like again, signed copy of their album. Like, I feel like I just must warn you, everything I say in this video does come from a place of love, because I do, to a certain extent, love the members, at least some of them. So like, I feel like I must warn you that everything I say, like, I'm coming from a good place. Anyway, let's go over this video is gonna work. I'm gonna run through the track list and give you my thoughts on each song, and then I'm going to give this album a score out of 10 at the end. But I do have a couple disclaimers before we continue. Disclaimer number 1, this album is new. I've heard it like twice, but my opinions on all of these songs very much may change over time. Second disclaimer, my standard one, everything I say in this video is just my opinion. You do not have to agree with my opinion because, as the mug always says, music is subjective, and that is great. Okay, now that we have all of that out of the way, let's get started. And first up, we have the title track, Watch It. And I'm a little confused about this song because as individual pieces of a song, I could get behind them all, and I like a lot of them, but when they come together as a song, it just doesn't work for me. I can't explain this, it confounds me even, but there's a couple of theories that I have. First theory, I don't like the background music. I stand by that. I don't really like the background music all that much. Like, I can support it if I have to, but I'm not all that into it. And it doesn't, like, permeate the entire song. Like, that is an issue that is going to be consistent. Also, the chorus isn't great, and I feel like that just brings it down even more. But let's talk positives, because in spite of my weird aversion and issues with this song, I did actually enjoy the vast majority of it. First, the verses are solid. The first one is pretty good, but the second one, in spite of being the rap verse, is actually kind of great. I really liked the second verse of the song. On top of that, the pre-chorus is also phenomenal. I think that is the best part of the song, if you ask me, and I also really like the bridge. But as a whole, I feel like it's missing something. That something is probably just a better chorus, but either way, I don't know for sure. Big picture though, in spite of issues I have with the song, this is far from their worst title. The BOYZ had like a 2-year stretch where they were just putting consistently titles that I didn't like. So this is not that bad. However, this is also far from their best title either. I love old The BOYZ songs like Bloom Bloom. That's what this album is. This is Bloom Bloom if you couldn't tell. But like Bloom Bloom, their debut album, like old The BOYZ is really good. And then I also really liked Lip Gloss. So like this isn't that good level either. Anyway, next, Rat in the Trap. This is a unit song. And for those who don't know, I love a unit song. Like, I have a thing. Okay, I blame 17 for this thing, for the record, but I love unit songs. I love interesting combinations. I feel like there's this opinion almost that only bigger groups can do a unit song. While yes, the BOYZ are a bigger group, I disagree. Like, Tux doing a unit song is fun for me. A smaller group doing a unit song, like, I just love unit songs. I love combinations that I don't usually get to see as a full-fledged song. And this song, I get what they were going for. Like, I see the vision, I understand the target. I just feel like they leaned a little too far into the less than ideal parts of this song. If this could have been a really cool, really sexy song almost, and it would have worked really well. However, there's just a couple things holding it back. The primary offender, though, is really the background music. It bothers me to a weird extent. It bothers me. Like, there's multiple points in this song that I would have enjoyed. Like, I can tell you for a fact, I would have really liked this part had the background music just been different. A perfect example of this is the pre-chorus. This pre-chorus could have been excellent, but the background music is bringing it down and it's kind of killing the song. As a whole, like, this isn't a bad song. It's not offensive to listen to. I think as background noise while I'm answering emails or working or whatever I'm doing with my time, it'll be fine. But as an active listening experience, it's just not for me. Next up, we have another unit song. This song, Honey, is a Sunu Eric duo song. And while I will concede, this isn't an objectively good song. Like, if you enjoy good music, this isn't the song I would recommend from the BOYZ, but I did have a genuinely amazing time listening to it. I'm sorry, this song had me cackling at various points. It's all in English, by the way, I forgot to mention that. It's all in English, which means I can fully understand the lyrics, and that adds to the comedic element, because, like, there's various parts in the song where, like, one of them will say something, and I'm like, what? Like, that, no. But also, Eric's rap, just as a whole in the second verse, one of the funniest things that boy has ever done. Like, I'm an Eric fan. I think he's very amusing, but that rap, honestly, his comedic peak. It reminds me in a lot of ways of NCT 127's Regular, specifically the English version of Regular, where I'm sure, like, when they made it, they did have sincere intentions. They intended to make, like, a real song, but it has this campy element to it because it's so insane that it just gives me endless enjoyment. Okay, next we have Bad Luck, and this could have been the first great song on the album. Like, we've had complex, we've had comedic, but we hadn't had great yet, and this could have been that if it had ended at the 90-second mark, but unfortunately there are things holding it back, and I feel like a big offender in this, like, the place where it really just drops off for me is the chorus. The pre-chorus wasn't great, I will concede that, but it could have worked because it slowed the song down in a way that would have been excellent had it flowed into a more upbeat chorus, right? Unfortunately, the chorus decided to double down on the pre-chorus's louder and slower vibe, which for me was a bit of a massive miss. The second verse just also isn't very good. Like, if you ask me, the raps are just unideal, to say the least. So, personally, this song should have just been the first verse and then the outro, because that outro was great, but everything really in between we could have cut out. We have reached the penultimate song, which is Crying and Laughter. And before I get into the song, I want to address the fact that this name pisses me off. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood today, like, anything's possible, but I'm mad. Like, this name fills me with irrational anger, and I've listened to the song, right? It could have been Crying and Laughing, and that name would have been way better, but Crying and Laughter just makes me mad. It's also just not a great song, which doesn't help either. The background music makes me violently angry. It pisses me off so much. The verses, meanwhile, they're fine, but they're not great. And the chorus could have been good. Like, the chorus had potential, but the background music kills it. The only part I actually liked was the pre-chorus. That part is great. The rest of the song is fine-ish to awful, depending on what part we're talking about. But it's also not something I really ever plan to seek out again. Alrighty, last but not least, we have Escape, and at least closing out the album, we have a good song. Like, this is an actually good song. No caveats, none of that. Like, I actually did just enjoy listening to this song. I will say, though, I think a lot of my enjoyment came from the fact that it was very vocally based. The background music wasn't really a factor in this song all that much. It was very vocals forward. I like the BOYZ vocals. I've always liked their vocals. At least for the most part, I've thought they're all good singers. So, a more vocally based song is a win for me. Like, I was vibing to this song. I was enjoying myself. If that's what you're into, you'll like it. That's really all I got, though. So, with that, it is score time, and overall, I'm going to give this album a 7.7 out of 10. I feel like the big word of today was potential. Like, this album had the potential to be great. A lot of the songs had the potential to be good, but a lot of them were either squandered or fumbled or whatever you want to call it, so that they just weren't all that great as a whole. Like, there were very few songs on this album that I would ever really seek out to listen to again, which is never ideal, but also, like, most of them weren't bad. So yeah, 7.7 out of 10. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to comment your thoughts on this album down below. Let me know how you feel. You can also like and subscribe if you want to, or don't. I will be okay either way. And in the description, in addition to putting all my other The BOYZ reviews, because you can watch those if you want to, I am going to put what I would consider one of my magnum opuses. I feel like I have a couple. It's my history of The BOYZ. It was like an hour and a half-ish long, if I recall correctly. I made it like a year ago now, so it is slightly out of date, but also The BOYZ haven't done a ton this past year, where I literally just sat down for what the video is. I sat down, I ran through their entire history. It was fun. We had intermissions. I ranked AO3 ships. Like, it was a fun time. So you can check that out too. I'll put that in the description as well. And yeah, thank you again for watching. Bye!